Welcome to the top 3 ways to succeed at changing habits. My name is Michael and I will be your instructor. So, got lots of information to go through today. So, let's get going. All right, what will be covered? So, today we'll be talking about life force foods, looking at why we fall back, the survival mind, looking at the pressure of the mind, and I'll be able to explain more about this. Then also looking into habits and behaviors, understanding the driving force underneath habits and behaviors. Beginning with energy needed. The survival instincts of our body does not like to use up energy. It will go the path of least energy possible to reserve energy. And that is just because way back, we needed to have an energy reserve to run away from that saber-toothed tiger. Now we have many different forms of stresses in our environment that we might want to run away from. So our body will do its very best to have an energy reserve. So when we do go into fight or flight mode and we need to run, we will be able to run far enough so we can find safety. And in all of that, basically, our body will do everything it can to basically go the path of least resistance. So, as an energy consumer, the brain is the most expensive organ we carry around with us, says Dr. Marcus Rachel, a distinguished professor of medicine at Washington University. While the brain just represents 2% of a person's total body weight, it accounts for 20% of the body's energy used. So, all in all, this is just to maintain our daily average. If you're looking to change a pattern or create new neural pathways, prepare for a major increase in energy consumption. The amount of energy needed will depend entirely on the rate of change. So 20% of our body's energy is used by the brain, and that's just for the daily average. Now we're going to add in that we use up to 30% of our body's energy just to digest food. So once again, failure to increase energy intake while starting a new habit will cause the body to resist and rebel. You simply won't feel like it. So the less energy we have, the more we will fall back into our already established habits or neural pathways. It's like the fundamental is if you have a really nice trail that's already nicely padded down and it's a really easy walk compared to going through a bush or going through the forest and having to crawl over falling down trees and watch out for rocks and whatnot. I mean, if you're feeling tired, chances are you're going to go for the nicely padded down walkway. So it's just a basic fundamental. So understanding that our body uses up 30% just to digest food, we want excessive energy. We want lots of energy, what I call life force foods, foods that have the highest output of life force or energy. Here is Kirlian photography, a visual representation of the living elements in food. And Kirlian photography basically takes a picture of the electromagnetic energy coming off of biological organisms. So as you can see, sprouts, cacao have definitely this strongest output of electromagnetic energy. You have organic mushrooms versus conventional mushrooms, organic broccoli, conventional broccoli, cooked carrots versus raw carrots. The energy, I think, is pretty well the same. I mean, it looks as though cooked baby carrots have a little bit more output. I think that's just, and not only that, our body would actually be able to break it down a lot easier. And then, of course, organic tomatoes, conventional tomatoes, cooked tomatoes versus raw tomatoes. So knowing that everything does have a source of energy to it. And if we're already using up 30% of our body's energy to digest food, what does make more sense? Does it make more sense to eat food sources that have high and sustaining output of energy? And I'm not talking about sugar, or doesn't make sense to eat foods with low to no output of energy. And that'd be, box food like cereal, crackers, things in the middle of the aisles, basically. And basically all that, who knows how long it's been sitting there and how less amount of electromagnetic energy it has. Because really, our body, um, it pushes signals, electrical signals throughout our body. The heartbeat is electrical pulse, and our neurons, the electricity going through our neurons, the whole fundamental of neurons that fire together, wire together. And so we do use that electromagnetic energy, and foods that have a very, very high output of electromagnetic energy will be extremely beneficial, especially when really establishing new neural connections and new neural pathways. So high vibrational foods, some examples: fresh greens, legumes, activated nuts and seeds. When I say activated, I mean soaked in water, as most nuts and seeds are dormant otherwise, and they have a coating on them that takes our body a lot more to digest and to break down that coating on nuts and seeds. So if you pre-soak them, then basically the water will dissolve the coating and it'll actually activate the nuts and seeds, so it's more readily available for our body to absorb the food. Sprouts. So avoiding alfalfa sprouts, because that is a type of grass and our stomach is not meant to digest grass. I think we need like 7 stomachs to properly digest grass, all the different pH levels, etc., and processing. So alfalfa, people have probably heard, sprouts aren't good because it's mainly alfalfa people talk about with sprouts. And that's true. Alfalfa sprouts are not the best sprouts. It's a type of grass. So the ideal sprouts are mung bean sprouts, radish sprouts, broccoli, and sunshoots. And of course, healthy fats are always a wise choice: avocado, olives, sesame seed oil, grapeseed oil, etc. So just foods that will really help to increase your wanting to go do something. If we're lazy and we don't have good energy output, then obviously, we're going to be lazy. If we have a very high output of energy, you'll be bouncing off the walls and you just want to go do something. Hopefully it's not sugar, because with a high output with sugar, you're going to crash just as fast. But good sustained foods, it's more sustained output, and it just does way better for your body. And so, this is something I had to learn and go through myself, as I was back in the trades many years ago, and I was trying to switch my career and start new habits, and it was almost impossible until I basically learned about food output. Not just like, oh, healthy supplements, and taking these powders and whatnot, because even the powder is processed and you don't get that electromagnetic energy. You still get the electrochemical energy, but not the electromagnetic energy, the zest of it, the strength of just that pulse. And so besides sprouts and cacao, the next best foods would come off of a tree. Look at fruit trees. They're perfect. They're like created just for humans to walk up to and pick off the tree. I mean, that's the best food source right there. It beats digging in the ground, digging in dirt and everything. You just go up to a tree and pick it. And that's by far the best food you could probably get. That and sprouts. All right, moving forward, talking about a little bit about sleep. So we do need optimal sleep, of course, 7 to 8 hours. Everyone's a little bit different. Some people might naturally need 6.5 hours. Some people might need 9 hours. Obviously, when you're really changing neural pathways and going through a big change or lots of growth, you do need more sleep. I remember I was learning piano. I was in my grade 8 piano lessons, just starting out again after taking time off. And after playing an hour and a half, I had to take a nap. I was so tired. My brain was just foggy and I was just like, whoa. And I just had to go and crash for half an hour. I'd wake up and be like, all right, I feel good again. But it's just so many neural connections taking place when you're learning songs and really using both your hands. And I was taking up a lot of energy, let me tell you. So basically, don't be afraid to take naps, meditation, be happy. Naps are amazing. Naps are wonderful. I love naps and meditation as well. I will, if I feel like I'm slowing down or losing momentum, go take a nap or do some meditation, because if you begin to slow down and lose momentum, chances are you're going to fall into your old patterns. And the whole idea is to sustain a new pattern long enough where it becomes a habit. And so that is the key. If you're slowing down, take a nap or do some meditation. To improve sleep at night, some just simple tips. Practice full body relaxation to reduce wound up stress and tension. Because when we go to bed, if we have that stress and tension still there, oftentimes our body can't fully relax. Like we're actually going to sleep with still that built up stress and tension. And most of us use soft beds. I don't know too many people use hard surfaces to sleep on. However, if you're using a soft bed, the softness of the bed will actually form around your bones, and your body will hold itself up by the muscles. So all that tension that's been held in the muscles, etc., it won't be able to fully release. Versus, a hard surface, your bones are actually supporting your body, and your muscles can release fully. So that's good, because when your muscles can release, you have way more of a natural circulation. Your body can just circulate more efficiently, and it's just more of a rejuvenation. And when actually you go to sleep, you're actually able to dive into a deeper sleep. And it has to do with the nervous system. If the nervous system's too wound up, then your body will be triggered into survival mode, and you won't let yourself go into a deep sleep because you think that there's a threat. And if there's a threat around, and it could just be built up of stress, you won't want to go into a deep night's sleep, because what if you have to get up and run? If you're too deep in a sleep, chances are you're going to be very slow and sluggish, and you might get eaten by a tiger. So, of course, if you have too much stress built up, it's more likely that your body won't let you go into a deep, deep, deep regenerative deep night sleep. So it's just a food for thought. This was I've helped many people deal with sleeping issues through my hypnotherapy practice, and their body was often just stuck in fight or flight mode. And so being able to calm their body down to a certain level, they're actually able to drop into those deep, deep delta brainwave sleep waves and get rejuvenated, beautiful night rests. Next thing, I might sound like a conspiracy theorist, but keep all plug-in electronics away from your bed and shut off your Wi-Fi at night, and turn your phone on airplane mode. I'm not really kidding. I've done the experimentations myself. I thought, people were crazy when I heard that before. I was a little bit on edge about it and skeptical. But the more research I did, it actually checked out. And I did the experimentation myself. I did 1 week of, keeping all plug-in electronics away from my bed. Blacked out room. I avoided the blue light 1 hour before bed. Not even any small lights. Those lights on stereo receivers or something. There's like a red light for off, green light for on. Just those tiny little lights, man. Our eyes are so sensitive, and they're the windows to our nervous system. So if you have a little bit of light in your room and you open your eyes up at night, like 10 or 11 p.m., and that light gets in there, it stimulates your nervous system, and it actually raises up your brainwave levels just a little bit. So, it's up for everyone to experiment with yourself. I've done the experimentation, and I definitely know it makes a difference for myself, might not for everyone. I actually noticed really amazing deep night sleeps. My dreaming, oh my God, my dreams got so much more vivid and intense. I woke up feeling rejuvenated. I actually woke up needing less sleep. I was sleeping like 8.5, 9 hours regularly until I did this experimentation. And then I started to needing like 7 hours, 7.5 hours, just waking up feeling totally rejuvenated. And the fundamentals and understanding behind this is our brain is 80 to 90% water-based. It fires electrical signals through neurons. And so when we sleep, we need a very slow brainwave state, the rate at which our neurons are firing. And you're guessing it. Neurons are electrical, so high pitch frequencies closer ahead with have a very small but noticeable effect on our sleep. And thinking about the wall outlet, the wall electricity here in the West is 60 hertz. And when we sleep, we want to be at zero point 0.4 hertz to about 2 or 3 hertz for deep night sleep. So if you have a plug-in alarm clock right beside your head and it's running at 60 hertz and you're trying to get your brain waves down to 0.4 to about 3 hertz, you get kind of, there's such thing as inductance. I was an electrician way back. Inductance is real, and that is the field around a wire or a field around a diode or etc. So test it out, try it out and see what you think about it. And then just improving sleep, improving energy levels, eating really amazing high vibrational food for great output. You don't have to do it all the time, just long enough so you can establish a new pattern. Once you have that pattern established, then you can go back to your old ways of eating. That's perfectly fine. Your neural pathways will be nicely set, and it's more likely that it'll be easier and easier to keep going down that same path. All right, so be sure to have enough energy when you are awake and aware, so you have enough energy to continuously change to where you're towards your higher potential with ease. If you feel like you are running out of energy, it will be more easy for you to slip back into already established old habits you may not prefer. Neural network. So it is really a practice that gets easier with more practice. With transformation, it is necessary to have lots of extra energy. All right, phase 2, a survival brain mechanism. So we have humans. We are humans. We humans have a survival mechanism that avoids pain and moves to pleasure. There are 6 main concepts to be aware of. So I'll go through them and then I'll explain how they can really be put into practice. So all decisions made by humans are to avoid pain or gain pleasure. People will do much more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. The perception of pain and pleasure, not the actual pain and pleasure, is the main driving force for people. We primarily focus on avoiding immediate pain, and we are trying to attain immediate pleasure. Every decision you make results in at least one or more of the following: short-term pain, long-term pain, short-term pleasure, long-term pleasure. Emotions trump logic when thinking of pain and pleasure. All right. We will avoid pain or discomfort on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level as well. And that includes our definitions and our assumptions. So of course, when we touch a hot stove, most likely we will never do it again, hopefully not. If we have a negative experience with work at a young age, most likely, most often, we won't like working and be continuously dreading work. It's really interesting. I used to really focus on the idea of work because I had a terrible relationship with work myself. And I was asking many people, what their definition is work. And often people would give me their emotional definition. So, some people was like, oh, I hate work. I feel like a slave and always stressed out. Work is, just stressful and blah, 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 blah. And so, that's their one definition. So I sometimes ask many people, and, I ask like a business owner that may be quite passionate and they're just full of joy. They're like, oh, I love work. Work is amazing. I love outputting and being able to provide service for other people. And it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm like, awesome. All right. And of course, there's other definitions from many different people, depending on, their relation to work and how they're brought up, the people around them, their mentors, etc. And the basics, work equals progress. I mean, that's the intellectual definition. So work equals progress. But our definitions, our emotional definitions will be totally different for everyone. And so knowing your emotional definition will be quite powerful. And if it's a negative emotional definition, let's say stressful or dreadful, the survival modes will kick in and you will move away from pain or discomfort and towards pleasure. More likely you'll avoid work, maybe find reasons to avoid work, maybe go for more coffees or making sure you have a whole bunch of snacks or candy along while you're working, or just something that will avoid your mind and move your mind towards pleasure. It may be social media, going on social media continuously because you're just really trying to avoid the definition of a painful work or discomforting work. And people that are totally in tune with work, I mean, they're so driven, that gives them so much joy. Like, they don't have any issues with distractions on their phone. They don't care about breaks. Some of them just work straight through, right? So that is moving towards pleasure, and work is giving them so much pleasure. So obviously, they're really, really driven. Work can be addicting, good or bad. Hopefully addiction in a good way, where you love work so much you want to keep it going. All right, setting yourself up for success, pleasure. What are your definitions towards the change or transformation you desire? Do you find doing your new task to be enjoyable? Do you find moving towards a new habit to be enjoyable? Do you have a smidge of negativity when you act towards your goal? Because that will make a huge difference. That little bit of negativity, if there's a little bit more negativity towards what you want to do, and there's something pleasurable close to you, chances are you'll move to that pleasure. Whatever is more pleasurable around you, chances are if it's close to you and your mind has a connection to it, you will go for it. And so we always want to have lots of pleasure and joy, and encoded with what we want to do, what new habit we want to really pursue. How much love, how much appreciation, how much bliss can you put towards that task or that habit? Are you forcing yourself with a negative feeling? Forcing is negative. There is allow. You can allow, just like you can allow yourself to take a drink of water. You can allow yourself to, use the washroom instead of forcing yourself to. There's many things. You could force yourself to go to bed if you want, or you can allow yourself to go to bed. To allow is quite powerful. So even the tiniest bit of "I have to do this" will often be what keeps people from doing tasks. So it's kind of like, I have to do this. Okay, I have to do this. I'm going to go do this. That's often what will keep people to procrastinate, or that's will often cause procrastination. And that's, procrastination at its finest is, when there's something that's more negative we're trying to do, but we have lots of pleasurable things around us, we'll procrastinate towards the pleasure. So our survival mechanism will more likely get triggered in the moment if we project or sense any negativity towards a task we are intending or wanting to do. We avoid or procrastinate subjectively what we are intending to do. Instead of "I have to," use the words "I get to," or "this is great, I am excited about this." Be aware of the feeling, feel it out. That's the most important. And then some simple tips to succeed. Activate your dopamine when working. This will greatly help. However, it will need continuous effort. And I'll kind of explain a little bit about this needing continuous effort. Now, if there is some type of tone, or you really have to force yourself to do something you're really enjoying, then the emotional drive, you really want to look at that. If you're forcing yourself to activate dopamine and really push yourself forward and find ways to make it more enjoyable, then there's something else in the background underlying you really want to look at. However, right now, just to, some tips just to kind of, if you do need to boost yourself, make everyday work more enjoyable or rewarding by, putting on some beautiful music in the background, or some uplifting your environment somehow. Maybe it's diffusing essential oils or something, or having plants in the room, or just something really pleasant, background music. And have the end goal so well set in the mind that it will be easy to feel at any moment. Giving gratitude every time you accomplish even the tiniest of tasks. That is actually really good. Self-praise goes a long ways. Celebrate your completions every day, every way you can. Emphasize. Celebrate when you start something. When you show up, celebrate. Pat yourself on the back. That's a step forward. And the more you do that, the more your mind's going to be like, "Ooh, pleasure. Hey, this feels good. Let's do more of it." Right. So affirm with emotion what you love, enjoy being productive. If all else, understand, and this is what I'm meaning when, If you have to force yourself, or hopefully not force yourself, but if you have to really boost yourself up to feel good about doing something, understand what the resistance is, understand the emotion you're going through, because it is subconscious related. And I'll kind of get into that here shortly, just how you can really begin to dive into that a little bit further. So, talking about the final phase of this presentation of the three topics. So, the driving force of a behavior. So, the final topic that will help you succeed in personal change transformation, the driving force, emotional feeling. So, when we quit an unpreferred behavior, let's example smoking, but the emotional drive is left intact. So, you consciously, okay, I quit, and you put the smoking down, but you haven't really looked at the emotional drive and the reasoning why you started smoking, and the emotions of why you started smoking. Then if the emotional drive is left intact, we will still be driven to do that something. And it may take, a couple weeks, a few weeks, a month, maybe even 2 or 3 months. But eventually, if that emotional drive is still intact and you haven't dealt with it in your subconscious somewhere, we will, of course, be using our willpower to resist that emotional drive. But eventually, the emotional drive will win. And our willpower of saying, "Oh, I'm not going to smoke, I swear I'm not," and then you try and try and try to push yourself away from the emotional drive will just woof, and there you'll be smoking again. Believe me, I had to go through this, oh gosh, 9, 10, 11 times. I used to smoke for about 7, 8 years, and I smoked tobacco. My whole dad's side of the family, they smoked, and I got into smoking as well. And I don't know how many times I tried to quit smoking. It was stupid, and every time I'd go back to it until I learned the fundamental of what the emotional drive is. And as soon as I cleared the emotional drive, it was like, why am I doing this? And I literally just put it down, walked away. It's like, yeah, my breath tastes bad. I'm always self paranoid about things, and and I just walked away from it. It was awesome. I haven't smoked since. It's been about 6 years or so now, 7 years. So that is when we quit a behavior. Now, when we start a new behavior, when we start a new pattern, a habit that we really want to pursue and ingrain, um, but we don't have a strong enough emotional drive, we are just using mental willpower. So when life comes along to put up a resistance, and we don't have a strong enough emotional drive, well, we don't have a strong enough emotional drive to keep us going, and we will fail. We'll just have it, oh, oops, and try again if you can. So we might have, in the case of starting a new pattern, emotional repel towards a new habit that we want to develop. And that may be, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, so why bother? Say you want to go to the gym and start working out, but there's the underlying definition or belief that I'm not worthy, why bother? So, it's kind of like, oh, well, of course I'm not going to succeed at going to the gym because I'm always battling with this emotion of like, why am I even going to the gym? What's the point? I'm not good enough to go to the gym. I never will be good enough to go to the gym. I'm not worthy of going to the gym. All these things will kind of come up when we're trying to move forward. And so really getting clear about that, why do you have any emotions that are getting in the way of going and starting that new behavior or that new pattern, or that, that's something that you want to move towards. So moving forward, understanding a little bit, and I love to break things down. I just really love to make sense of everything, because I mean that was the best way I could get really underneath all the behaviors, all the beliefs, etc. So a broken down behavior, a behavior is action, and our actions give us our results. So our actions, underneath of it, is our feelings, our emotional drive. And where does an emotional drive come from? Well, we can generate any emotion. We can generate anger, sadness, pain, frustration, fear. We can also generate love, passion, excitement, joy, and many other amazing, powerful, beautiful happiness, good emotions. What is the difference between our body generating a negative emotion versus positive emotion? Well, belief. It's a belief. I believe this, I believe that. It'd be like going down on the street, downtown in the city. Many different people have many different perspectives and beliefs about the city. On the streets. Oh, the streets are unsafe, or the streets are full of opportunity, or whoever you talk with. You could talk to a monk, you could talk to a homeless person, you could talk to a multimillionaire, you could talk to the city of mayor. Everyone will have a different perspective and a different belief of how the streets are. And so, depending on that belief, if you're very fearful and those streets are extremely unsafe, there's dangerous people everywhere, chances are you're walking down the street, you'll have a lot more anxiety. So, you'd be generating that emotion. If you feel like the streets are, wonderful, safe, they're beautiful with lots of opportunity, well, chances are you'll be very confident. You'll be very excited to be on the street looking for opportunity. And so, what is a belief? Well, breaking it down, it really is. It gets down to a very simple understanding. It's a concept or an idea that was introduced to us way, way long ago. It could have been introduced to us by our parents, by our teachers in school, potentially, by whoever else. It could have been the media. Um, and so when an idea is introduced to us, all of a sudden our mind goes into this processing phase of like, okay, I need to validate it, validate it, validate it. And eventually, when we get enough validation, or maybe someone's telling us, and this is the way it is, and they kind of have this really affirmative stance on it, then we'll just assume, oh, this is the way it is. And the more validated it is, the stronger the belief is. And the stronger the belief is, the more powerful the emotional generating feeling will be. The more powerful will generate the feeling. So it's very, very, very simple construct. Beliefs, ideas, we integrate it and hold true. So it really all starts down most of the time just from our parents. So, we see our parents, we are a kid, and we want to be like our parents, we want to be like an adult. So we'll model after them and be like, oh, I could do exactly what they can do. And so that's what happens. The driving force of a behavior. So just some basic tips to help you really understand the driving force and how you can generate a powerful emotional drive. Know your whys, and I'm sure you probably heard about many times, but have as many whys as you can. Have like seven whys. And not only that, but the supportive beliefs to make your emotional drive quite strong. So, for example, going to the gym or doing yoga, if you want to start that new behavior or pattern of going, multiple times a week, then what belief do you need to believe that it's more valuable to go to the gym than not, right? There may be multiple beliefs, and you could really stack your whys with the supportive beliefs. So clearly know your emotional drive, really get very clear with it, understand your beliefs. And the deeper you go with understanding your beliefs, the more powerful your emotional drive is going to be. And then, the next best thing to do is make sure that you clear or eliminate any resistive repelling. And that's, like the emotions, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I'm incapable, why bother, those kinds of beliefs as well. So know the meaning of the feeling or emotion. If there is any resistive repel or limiting factors that you may be experiencing, really dive into it. Know where it came from, know who you picked it up from. Yeah, know what perception you picked up from. Know what perception you picked up from whom. And then read aside on a subconscious level. And working on a subconscious level is it takes quite a bit. But just with learning these three concepts, about food, having way more energy, then you're gonna feel good. You're gonna want to get out there. You're gonna want to do something, and more likely you'll actually go towards doing what you want to do. And the next is understanding, the survival instincts, right? Understanding that if you have any negativity towards what you want to do, if you have any negativity, your mind will more likely avoid it and procrastinate and go do something more pleasurable. So stacking as much pleasure as you can with doing the task that you want to do is going to be very beneficial. And then finally, the emotional drive, which is more subconscious. All of these are somewhat subconscious, but this is the third idea. The driving force is very much subconscious. But if you can master the driving force, oh my God, you're unstoppable. You don't even need those other first two principles. If you have that this emotional drive so well intact, you are going to be driving yourself to success and thrive every single time. So there you have it, the 3 general ways to succeed in changing habits. Of course, every person is unique and everyone has different reasons, beliefs. There may be more to it than just these 3 general topics, but if you can really tune into these 3 topics, you are going to do well. The most effective, efficient, and easiest way to change a behavior is always working closely with the subconscious. So if it's a habit or a pattern, it will be subconscious. Of course it will. Connect with the subconscious level. Connecting with the subconscious level, of course, is always about synchronizing your mind with your subconscious. And that would be through deepened meditations, trance therapy, hypnotherapy, etc. So it is always great to know how a belief started. When you could get to the beginning point of a belief, where it all started, where it all came from, who you picked it up from, or why you generated and decided to have a belief, this will loosen your mind around it. What may seem like a solid or stubborn belief on the back end, of like over time, a belief may build momentum, more and more momentum, and look like this giant belief. Don't work on that level. Get back to the very beginning. Where did it come from? And then go get your mind before the momentum began, and that will help considerably. So would you like to dive deeper? And this is an invitation I have for everyone here. If you liked anything I shared just recently, if you like the 3 concepts I shared today, you'll love my Conscious Core 101 course. So today's 3 concepts we're taking out of my 7-week transformational course. This approximately 42 lessons. And so these were the 3 lessons out of the 42. And then plus, there's hypnosis, audio recordings, there's practices, tools, techniques. And I'll explain a little bit about my story here and how I came to really accumulate such powerful information and how I actually transformed myself many times over completely. It's been a beautiful journey and got down to the sciences of it. And I really am able to teach in a beautiful way to help elevate people in new levels. So learn how to take back your subconscious mind. It's time to take ownership of your subconscious. Don't let outside influences influence you anymore. Deprogram the non-preferred beliefs, the non-preferred BS belief systems, not the other thing. And, knowing how your subconscious operates and how beliefs are formed in your subconscious, when you understand that, oh my God, you will never let a low vibe BS belief ever get into your subconscious ever again. And so knowing this will support positive and dynamic growth with ease for personal transformation and empowerment that will be with you for the rest of your life. I mean, these 7 weeks will, once you learn it, you will not want to forget it. It's just going to be, the people have gone through this already. I've had some beautiful, small, intimate groups. I never do big groups. I like to have small groups because I'm the one actually putting so much energy, making sure people are getting everything out of it. So the new skills, techniques, and strategies that you will learn through this course will offer the necessary support to successfully guide you into living a more enjoyable, happy, and healthy life, just as a start. Okay, so learn about your subconscious mind, how to program and reprogram yourself for a better life. Learn a step-by-step approach that makes learning about your subconscious easy and simple to understand. Learn simple practices and techniques that you can do every day to build an empowering momentum towards a preferred new you. So just a little bit about this, and then I'll end this presentation. This course includes, and this is pretty big for a lot of people because, limitations, personal limitations and struggle. I've been through it. All my clients, one-on-one hypnotherapy sessions have, that's why often they come to me, is to clear up limitations and struggle. And so this course includes how to clear all of it up. It all has to do with beliefs. It all has to do with patterns that we picked up most of the time. It's not even ours, to be honest. Most of those things are not even ours. So it's pretty crazy. And so there's 3 main factors that will usually cause us to go through limitation and struggle. One is not knowing our purpose or direction in life. So there's no feeling or drive, like a deep rooted, core of like, when we do know our purpose and drive or in our direction on a deep level, man, do we take off. But when we don't know that, it may be like, oh, I'm trying to, push myself to do things. And so the solution, learn how to connect deeply into your excitements and passions to define your purpose in life. This often might take some deprogramming of opinions, comments, or projections from other people, we may have accepted. Just like, when in school, or when you're a kid and you want to do something, your parents like, you can't, you're not allowed to, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. So that's often what it comes down to. Of course, there's other things that are involved, I usually see as well. But you'll get to the roots of it. Two, having a distorted or unclear view of oneself. So the solution, our identity is composed primarily of two sources: from the outside world and our creative self. So learn how to sift through and deprogram what doesn't actually belong to you. When you get in tune with your creative self and create yourself from the inside out, do you ever light up? It is incredible. It took me quite a bit to get to that point as well, but now it's beautiful and it just gets better and better and better. Okay, three, worrying or fearful of what others will say or think of you. And this will often cause lots of heavy resistance. So the solution: learn what is underlying the fear of what other people think of you. Place up boundaries and stabilize yourself into your core so no one can affect you as you thrive forward. So all of three of these factors are subconscious related, and this is just kind of naturally in the course. I will definitely dive into these a lot more in depth for people, because this is, obviously something that affects almost everyone. The features of this course: you'll have access to 8 live group sessions, Q&A, and beautiful groups. You'll have access to all the recordings in case you miss any, a desktop app to log in, access lessons, practices, audios, etc. 3 45-minute coaching calls. These are one-on-one coaching calls. That's why I cannot take too many people. Step-by-step guided practices for easy and effective results, accountability, a daily chat group, 3 self-hypnosis audios. Actually, there's more, but 3 main hypnosis audios. Lifetime access to conscious core support network to help you continue learning, questioning, exploring, and tweaking your practices for improved results. So just to go through who this is for, if you are interested, this program is for people who know there is more to life, who know that they have incredible potential that is untapped. This program is for people who want to develop themselves consciously and subconsciously. This is for the people who want to take back their own subconscious and deprogram themselves from the ideas and beliefs that do not serve them. I'll give you all the tools and techniques how to do that. And of course, imprint new beliefs and patterns that serve them best from your creative self. This was for the people who are willing to invest into themselves in a daily practice. Nobody's going to do the work for you. You must do your own work. Who is this program not for? This is not for people who think that someone will do all their work for them. I could teach you everything. I could teach you, I could give you all the tools, I could teach you all the lessons, but it's up to you to do your work. This is not for someone who does not want to invest into themselves, mental energy into themselves. This is not for people who are not open to learn. If you do not want to, you simply will not learn. This is not for people who want to stay in victimhood and do not want to take full responsibility for themselves and grow into their greater potential. So each round of the course is usually about every 2 months, and I do small intimate groups. And of course, I don't allow just anyone in here, so you'll have to talk to me prior to. This is not a light course. We go in depth. All right, so Michael Van Soest, I'm a subconscious specialist, and a little bit about my history. So right now I have an educational base of certified clinical hypnotherapist, registered International Medical Dental Hypnotherapy Association, certified stress management consultant, registered International Association of Counselors and Therapists, public speaker, published author. Most importantly, I'm a passionate and dedicated researcher looking for the easiest and most effective ways to change. And my journey, I had a lot of complicated health issues in the past. Back in 2010, about 12 years ago, in my early 20s. And now I fully healed them, but I had problems with severe anxiety. I had chronic stress syndrome. I was completely depressed, like thoughts of suicide kind of thing. I hated my job. I hated my life. And of course, with all of that, I was in and out of the doctor's office because I had heart problems. That developed when I was about 17, 18, and just really freaked me out and didn't help as I grew up older. And my kidneys and bladder were malfunctioning. My adrenal glands were shot, which sit right on top of the kidneys. And so I was a disaster. I was in and out of the doctor's office continuously getting tests done. And oh my God, the doctors just want to test me on all types of medications, pharmaceuticals. And I had it. I had a mental breakdown. I was just like, I can't handle this. My life is going down the toilet. And it got pretty serious. And that led me to really begin studying conscious therapies, conscious philosophies. I got into spiritual practices. I got into meditation. I got into yoga. I got into qigong. I got into, so many different forms of art, health foods, and through all that, I was all the severity of the emotional pain I was going through and trauma. I was self-medicating continuously. I had drinking problems. I had drug problems. I was smoking tobacco, smoking marijuana. I was, it's just, I was a disaster, and eventually studying more and more and more. I'm not the type of person that, oh, I became a clinical hypnotherapist because I just wanted to go to school for it. Like, no, I became a clinical hypnotherapist because working on the subconscious level completely transformed my life. And it was personal research, not to diagnose myself. No, I went and studied and found all the techniques, all the tools, all the resources I possibly could to try it on myself. I literally went through trial and error over and over and over and over again. And I actually had opportunity to work with some indigenes, some shamans. I of course did plant medicines to figure that out as well. And all of it, just escalated. And then I started working with a hypnotherapist. And I've just found, on the subconscious level, I'm like, hey, there's something here. Because I was living my life. I transformed my 5 months more than I did in 5 years. Like, what is going on? And so that's what kind of led me to get into being a clinical hypnotherapist. And along the way, I was able to help so many amazing people. Now I'm fully healed. I don't smoke. I haven't smoked for 5, 6, 7 years or so. No drugs, no alcohol. I love eating good food. Oh, yeah, that was another thing. I ate terrible fast food. Oh my God. It was just go-to, right? Just filling my face, trying to get away from those negative, painful emotions and going for, all the good, tasty food, the sugar, just to give me a pleasurable sensation that was temporary, of course. So yeah, I eat very healthy now. I love health. I love life. I'm so passionate about my work. I've just ignited something in me and I just cannot get enough of it. Now I'm teaching people how to really tap into their subconscious, do their work. Um, this has increased a bell curve in my life for self-mastery, and I'm going all the way. And I'd love to share and have small groups of people being, a fellow student with them, because I basically go through this material with you. I'm learning this material and going through it with you, because each level you go into, there's so many beautiful layers within. And the deeper the level and layer you go, man, does life get better and better and better. So that's all. My emails on the bottom if you want to reach out. You could also check out consciousharmonics.ca/conscious core, and that will bring you to the PDF to really look more into the course. You could easily find my booking link if you want to book a call, and that will be on consciousharmonics.ca. And that was just on the main website. You could easily find my schedule link and just click on that, and that will really, just be able to book a complimentary 30-minute call with me. So all the best, lots of love and blessings, and hopefully, all this information really helped out. Make this year the best year yet. And, you only have so much time in your life. So definitely make sure you're living it the most, because man, passing so many years by, it just was a waste. And now it's the most juiciest, beautiful life ever, and it gets better and better. All right, bye for now.